This episode of the podcast is sponsored by TKDWear, and TKDWear are a Taekwondo apparel brand. They do a range of t-shirts and polo shirts for men, and for women they do t-shirts, crop tops and leggings. They also do a range of useful accessories such as gear bags, shakers and neck scarves. So make sure to check them out at tkdwear.com, and you can use the promo code BLACKBELTER for 10% off. All details will be in the description. So what's up, Kenneth? How are you? Thanks a million for coming on.
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me. I really enjoy your lives, and I've been following you for a little while, and I think you're doing a very great thing with the martial arts. Bringing it forward like this.
I appreciate it. Do appreciate it. So like you mentioned already with COVID and training, like has most of your training been like done, like you said, on your own? Like have you got to train with partners at all the last while?
I haven't done one partner drill in almost a year.
Yeah, no partner drills.
Yeah, it's been tough. So when my teammates and I link up, obviously via Zoom, that's just it. We're just training on Zoom, doing bag work. Yeah, that's as close as we come to contact.
Yeah. How have you found that then? Like, because as you said, training for the Olympic qualifiers, how have you found that type of training without actually getting to spar people?
I mean, it's different. It's hard to really prepare. I mean, I would say I don't think anybody will feel fully prepared now, not having a proper team to train with, or the right environment to train. So the mental aspect is definitely low in terms of morale, and the physical aspect is not optimum, because it's a new normal. It's very different.
Yeah, and the challenge as well is, like you're seeing a lot of countries in Europe haven't been as restricted. Like they've been got some bit of training and been able to spar.
Yes.
So I think that's even going to be a challenge for like the Taekwondo point of view when we get back to the European Championships. Like I said before we started recording, that we haven't done a lot of training at all, and there's other countries then like who have been pretty much flat out, no restrictions for them, and they're good to go.
Yeah. It's some. I was talking with one of my teammates the other day, and I'm like, it's a serious disadvantage. I mean, hey, like smaller countries like Jamaica and countries that have smaller programs, I would say, have it hard to begin with. So to be competing with countries that are open versus countries that are so restrictive, I mean, athletes are having a terrible time even projecting going forward to these major championships.
Yeah, and I think like that it will affect, like I said, a lot of smaller countries, and that like, because you're not going to, I think it's hard to want to go to one of these tournaments, these big tournaments, if you don't feel fully prepared, especially like if you're having to fund it yourself and that sort of stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, to be honest, for months I've been on the fence. I mean, to be honest, I am on the fence, about even traveling to Europe for these qualifiers, because one, it's the procedures you have to go through, it's the all the COVID testing, it's the restrictions, and when you go into the arena, it's not the same, because there's no audience, there's no your teammates aren't there, so it's different, man.
Yeah, that one's going to be different, I think. Yeah, because like you said, team, I would imagine that like you won't be able to hang around the competition area. Like it's going to be just competitors, so like the atmosphere will be totally dead of it. I think. Hopefully not. Hopefully you'll get a bit of atmosphere.
No, that's exactly how it is. I have two teammates now. They're in Portugal, and the competition was leave your room, go to the venue, compete, go back to your room.
Yeah, not great.
Empty.
Not
it was
enjoyable
just
at all, is it?
Yeah, not joyful at all. For want of a better word, it was just dead and blah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to know how long it'll take to get back to what it was, isn't it?
I know, man. Sucks the life out of it.
Yeah.
Really sucks the life out of it.
So how did you get started in martial arts? Where did it start for you?
Oh, brother, that was several decades ago, man. So my older brother was into martial arts. He was, very prominent back in Jamaica. Keith Edwards. He would always come home. He's much older than me. He's probably about 16 or 17 years older than I am. So obviously, I used to watch him come home with all these trophies, you know. My father also was one of the earlier practitioners back in Jamaica when it came there in the, 60s and so on. So we always had a martial family, basically. My brother did boxing, dad did judo and taekwondo. My brother was into Seidou karate. So it was kind of almost predetermined that I would end up in martial arts. So when I started, maybe about 94, 95, about 93, 94. Yeah, I started martial arts, and yeah, my journey obviously has been very mixed from beginning. So, I started in karate, ended up doing ITF Taekwondo, then WTF Taekwondo, and yeah, the journey continues.
Yeah. And was it, did you kind of pick karate? Because like you said, there even in the family, there was a number of martial arts and combat sports. Was it you pick karate, or was that just kind of what you were thrown into?
Yeah, karate was very prominent because my brother was the leading karate figure at the time, Yeah. So I was training under him for many years. And then the transition happened to ITF Taekwondo later on when we created the Jamaica Combined Martial Arts team.
Yeah, yeah. And did you do any other sports then when you would have been younger?
Oh yeah, I was in track and field back in high school. Yeah, of course, of course, right? I played table tennis for a while. Yeah. So, but track was the dominant sport for me back in high school. But it was always karate because karate was more for recreation. I'll give you a funny story, right? So. Well, the high school I went to was Calabar High School. Big up to Calabar High School. We are one of the premier track and field schools in the entire island, right? Now, obviously, when you go on these track teams, your aim is to make the national championships and go on to the Olympics. So, I'm training in track and field. I was doing the sprints, 100 meters, 200 meters, and long and triple jump. When I made the combined team at 16 years old, I got injured in Cuba. So that year, about that time is your prime time for you to make it to champs and then, matriculate to, prepare for an Olympics. I got injured, couldn't make champs. And my coach at the time was like, well, because he knew I did karate too, right? He was like, well, maybe one day you'll do the Olympics in karate. Obviously karate wasn't even in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So, fast forward and the rest of the story. But yeah, it was kind of funny. He said that,
Yeah. So you could turn out being right. Huh?
He turned out being right.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you got to the Olympics with Taekwondo as well, boy. He could be spot on with the karate thing even there.
Of course. I mean, listen. If I make it to Japan with karate, then I can say I fulfilled his dying his dying premonition then.
Yeah.
Because
yeah. So you're quite fast. How fast would you be? Were you at running the 100?
Okay, my best time on the 100 was 10:64.
Oh,
quick. Back in high school, hand time.
Quick.
10:64. Yeah, no, I was pretty quick, man.
Yeah,
I was pretty quick. I really, even now, a major part of my training routine is sprints. Always.
Yeah.
Always has been. If I don't get to do track work within my sparring training, it's man, my legs aren't ready. So I'm always doing track work.
Yeah. But that even comes across, I think, even in your style of sparring, doesn't it? You're the fast twitch muscle fibers.
Yeah, fast twitch, exactly.
You're quick, straight off the first one with the front leg. It's all very quick. So there's definitely those fast twitch muscle fibers are definitely there.
Yeah, that's my style.
Yeah.
That's indeed my style, brother.
So did you start competing straight away, or was there a time where you were maybe just training and, like you said, it was more recreational, or were you always competitive?
I would say because I mean, I've been in martial arts since I was very young, right?
Hmm.
So maybe at 8 years old, I was doing tournaments in karate. So uh, I was always very competitive. My dojo at the time was very competitive too, and just the Jamaican landscape on a whole, like we had open tournaments. So karate folk would compete against Taekwondo and Kung Fu, and all the different martial arts would be sparring in the same tournament against each other. So that was very competitive for us. Um, at high school, as it regards track and field, it was an all boys high school. So competition was
Yeah.
nonstop. From you got to school is done. It was competitive. So I would say, it has shaped a lot of even my approach towards sport martial arts. Um, just taking part in all these competitive forms of martial arts is very appealing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicholas was on, Nicholas Dussard, and he said like the same. Yeah, he would have competed across it was a all mixed tournaments
Yeah,
pretty much, that you kind of got. If it was taekwondo, you got maybe one actual taekwondo tournament a year, and then maybe
yes,
there was one
yes.
karate tournament or one kickboxing tournament or
One
whatever it was.
kickboxer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he said
Mm-hmm.
for him, he kind of felt like that helped round out his style, because you had to adapt to all these different styles. He was sparring all
Exactly.
the different styles. Do you feel kind of the same, to help keep
Mm-hmm.
your style
No, man,
rounded out?
that definitely raised the game for us in terms of our martial, even taekwondo on the world stage for Jamaica. I don't think it at the level rose when, like, myself and Nicholas were competing across WTF Taekwondo, the US Open, which is a multi-sport, a multi-martial art competition, kickboxing, so doing all of these things and kind of feeding off the different styles and different way of sparring, and then coupled with we're now we're getting better training, because now you're in the big leagues, right?
Hmm.
So that really kind of elevated the sport for us, and gave a good framework for our technical the technical aspect of our martial arts in Jamaica.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when was like the first time you would have competed at a big international tournament? When was that? What was that experience like?
All right, so my first big international tournament was the US Open. And the US Open, I was maybe about 14 years old. Maybe about 14 years old. And so at the US Open, you had like maybe 3,000, upwards of 3,000 competitors, right? I mean, this was something. Now,
Yeah.
up to this point, I've never, up to between the ages of maybe 12 and 14, like for 2 years, I'm on a win streak in Jamaica, right? Because, it's all local competition and I'm doing great. And then I come up to this competition and I have like 60 people in my division, and I'm like, I mean, it wouldn't faze me because I expect to win.
Yeah.
Brother, I think I placed maybe 15th, because then, I mean, and this was patterns. I placed maybe 15th. And I'm like, what? I was livid, because I'm like, obviously I think I'm thinking I'm the best. You're a young mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay, time for sparring. And my style was just not up to par. This was a different kettle of fish. It was, it was touch fighting. It was, I mean, you've seen US Open point sparring, where
Yeah.
it's really fast, like it's no contact, so it's really fast. And I'm like, wow, I got blown out of the water, man. I got blown out of the water, and that, as much as it was depressing, it kind of drove me to know that, yeah, from then I need to kind of find ways to be very open and up my game.
Yeah. Yeah. When people, time and time again, when people are on, they say the same, that the first tournament is always make or break for them, in terms of are they going to push on? Like, you're very rarely successful in the first one,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
was before I was telling you that the US Open was my first big one. I mean, major in terms of for my level at the time, of course. That was pretty major for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said just before we got cut off as well, is that it's very rare the first one. The first one's always make or break. It's very rare somebody
Oh
goes the first time and wins. It's always like
yeah,
it's
it's
always a
rare,
learning
man.
experience, and then it's how you take
It's
that. Some
rare.
people go, I don't. It's not really for me, and then other people
Uh-huh.
go, no, this is for me, and then they step up their training and they level up.
But I tell you, my first my first in all my different martial arts that I compete in, always been world championships.
Yeah,
Yeah, my very first competition in WT was Spain World Championships. It was a World Championships in Spain. Yeah, I mean, and at the time, man, we were in the Stone Ages as it relates to how to score and just all the rules of the sport, So it's always been a learning curve. ITF the same. ITF, my first major ITF, no, Germany 2005 was my first ITF experience. I didn't get to compete, but it was the first time I was actually, exposed to it and,
yeah,
fell in love with it. So yeah, man, yeah, it's always been major games.
yeah. I suppose like, yeah, you can I suppose over here you have maybe a European Cup or something that way that maybe it can ease you in, but
Yeah, I know.
you got thrown in at the deep end
I
with the World
know.
Championships,
That
the
came
biggest
that came
ones.
later. That came later. I know.
The biggest ones you were in there.
Yeah, man. The biggest ones. Always start with the big ones.
Yeah. So then
Always
when did you
start.
when did it turn around for you? When did you start winning then at these big events?
I would say I would attribute like a proper win streak came about 2007. 2007. Now I was training more in New Jersey with Coach Alvin Bernard, and we really started to like travel the tri-state and exposed to different competitors, and just kind of feeling out what the real useful tools are, because I would say as a fighter, I had so many tools, but like to stay with the main ones that keep you winning, right?
Yeah.
Your coach might say, keep with that strategy until it changes, right? Until they figure it out, kind of thing. Yeah, that was lacking for me, because I would go in and I would be throwing 10 techniques in every second, in 10 techniques per second, and landing one,
Yeah.
And yeah, that was like, all right, take it down a notch. So my breakthrough came, I didn't win, but my breakthrough came in Argentina 2009. And this was a big one, because we had, in my division, we had major players. We had Carl Van Roon, we had Jonathan Batista, we had David Kerr, myself. So it was like major stakes competition. And yeah, we held our own there, man. We held our own, barring I split my toe in two, so I couldn't continue, after that
Yeah.
David Kerr match. But man, it was like, all right, it's time to do this, it's time to like, it was like an opening for you to see that, yeah, we got this. So fast forward to maybe Brighton. I was untouchable in Brighton because I was like on top of my game, fresh from the Olympics. It was just great. It
Yeah.
was just great.
Yeah. That was probably the first time I kind of came out. I would have heard a bit about you. It was
Yeah.
Brighton in 2012, and then like people had said, "Oh, you were in the Olympics and that." So yeah, Brighton, you were on great form.
Yeah, man. I was on fire then, man. That was like I would definitely say that was one of my best performance. Like I literally I had surgery like 2 months after that for my ankle, right? And the whole time I was like fighting on one leg.
Yeah.
Like the whole time. And you know, that was a big competition. Like everybody was there. I probably had like 8 rounds, like 8 different matches, you know? So it was, yeah, that really did it.
Yeah.
And then going into like ISK tournaments and WACO tournaments, that was like, you know, a breeze for me. Now it was 3 years. It was all wins, you know. It was all wins.
Yeah. And then what was the Olympic experience like? What was London like? How did kind of even qualifying come around? How did you qualify for that one?
All right, so the qualifiers was in Querétaro, Mexico, and at the time you could only send 3 persons from each division, right? So it was myself at that time. I think my ranking at the time was very high.
Yeah.
You know, so I was up against probably the number 3 in the world from Cuba at the time. You know, a lot of ranked fighters from, you know, the Pan Am region was there. It was a lot of pressure, brother. Like it was heavy, because now you know this is resting on your shoulders. I was the last Jamaican competitor to go in, because Nicholas had gone, Cerise had gone, and you know they didn't qualify. So it was like, man, we have no qualifiers. This is this is up to me. So it was a lot of pressure. I faced Canada. I faced Canada first match. No, I faced Guyana first match. Won that match. Canada, I lost. Went into repechage, and I had to face Venezuela after that. Now, Venezuela was a very high-ranked fighter. He was so he forfeited. He decided not to take his repechage because he's gonna face me. You know, obviously I'm not very ranked. Obviously, he think he could take me, right? Man, that match ended 10-2. It was probably my best performance in WTF.
Yeah.
And I say this was just out of, one would say, national pride and just the pressure of your team depending on you. You know, so you know, like fast forward to this environment that we have to compete in now, it's a whole different thing, because you don't have that. You know, you don't have the team like being right there. You know what I mean? So it's different. But that experience was everything. Like just hearing your name announced as Kenneth Edwards qualified for the 2012 Olympics was everything. It was everything you would imagine it to be, and then some more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Yeah, like
it was everything.
Yeah.
And then now going to the games, fast forward, you know, a couple of months later, going to the games, that was incredible. Like once you arrive in the athletes village, it's like, wow, you're here with the best of their sport, like just the best of the best in the world. This is you're walking by and Serena is right there, and you know, you name it, they're there, you know.
Yeah.
So it was incredible, man. That was probably my best sporting experience ever.
Yeah, like, yeah, it is mad, as you said, like all the athletes who are like big superstars in the much bigger sport, like that. Like,
oh yes,
all,
yes. And you're there having lunch with all these guys, and you know, hanging out, going to parties, just like, you know, it's it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty cool, man.
what was the opening ceremony like? You're walking out next to Usain Bolt and these guys asking for polls.
Oh yes, yes.
All these big track and field people.
I mean, for us as Jamaicans, like we are. I mean, Usain and I, we have been to games before together, right? Like we go to the Pan Am Games together, things like that. And of course, you know, we train at the same track workout grounds, so we're familiar with each other. But then when you get to a games, and this guy's like a god, like we're literally going in an entourage to get lunch with him because athletes are coming up to him for autographs, like you know what I mean? Like athletes are clamoring to get pictures, and it was incredible, man. That games was definitely incredible. The opening ceremony was spectacular. It was everything you would expect it to be, and then some, because all the festivities, the fireworks, the fanfare, just how they treat you as an athlete, it's something special. It's something to experience, because you actually feel like you are the center of everything that's going on. So
I suppose for those 2 weeks, the athletes are the center of attention for everything. It is all about
brother, I'm telling you.
2 weeks,
I'm telling you. And I got there. My experience was pretty cool because I was the first Jamaican athlete to get to the games, and I was the last to leave.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was the first one. So I had the best apartment in the whole place because I had like a penthouse. I was at the top. I could oversee the entire athletes village. So that was pretty cool. And then at the closing ceremony, I almost carried the flag.
Almost.
because Usain had left early, and they had like Diamond League after that and stuff. So yeah, that sucked. Shellyan ended up carrying the flag, but yeah, man, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Competition wise,
you fought a big tall Chinese guy. Was it a guy from China?
Oh yeah,
man. Big, wasn't he? Yeah.
Lu Zhao. He was 7 feet 3 inches.
Yeah. Is that the actual height, or is that just how you remember him? Is that what he actually is?
No, that was the actual height.
Yeah.
He was 7. No, lie. I'm sorry. That wasn't the actual height. Lu Zhao was 6'11". No, lie. He was 7'1". Yeah, it was 7'1" or 7'3". Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, he was. That was incredible. I mean, we were warming up, and my coach looked over, and it was like, oh, he's not that tall. He was sitting, like, he's not that tall. I mean, our training was for tall guys, obviously, because I was fighting in the heavyweight division. So obviously, I'm the smallest guy in the heavyweight division. So our strategy was geared towards that anyway. So that wasn't gonna faze me, When we were walking in, obviously now he's standing up, and I'm like, shit. He was tall.
Yeah.
He was really tall, man. He was tall, but I mean, I was so pumped. It was incredible. I was so pumped for that match. Like, just the atmosphere there, I think, was everything. And to hear in that arena the entire stadium like cheering Jamaica was something to behold,
Yeah.
So,
and I suppose even as well for a match like that, even if people didn't know who you were or anything like that, like, you would have been the underdog to seeing the small guy here against this huge guy. So straight away, you have everybody on your side.
Yeah. And I think that played a little bit against us too in terms of officiating, because you're in there, you're the smaller guy, you're the Jamaican that's not number 3 in the world, that's not Asian champion, that's not Olympic bronze medalist. You know what I mean? I mean, it's only natural. We all experience that in competition, right? But I think just the energy that was in the stadium was a lot for just the sport. Like, it was incredible.
Yeah. It's just a shame they don't have all the weight divisions, though, isn't it? Like, the fact you had to go up and fight people who are bigger. Like, it would have been nice maybe if you got to fight people maybe more your size.
Exactly.
It's a shame they don't
like welterweights or middleweights, because they merged the weight divisions.
It's a shame to do that. Yeah, because like a lot of people, a lot of good people miss out in qualifying.
A lot of good people miss out, man. For real, because you have guys who are like you see them in tournaments, and the fact that they're not in a certain weight division, like their countries won't send them because, or send them to a qualifier because that's just not the weight division that you got your ranking in, you know? So it's very unfortunate. You really don't see the cream of the crop. And I'd say personally, I can appreciate a World Cup in ITF versus a World Championships, because at the World Championships, you only have a selected few people. At the World Cup, you get, you know, a larger body of talent competing than at the World Championships. I mean, yeah, you know, it's, well, one would say it's the cream of the crop, but how do you, you know, selection is one thing too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like I suppose, yeah, there's, it's hard to know, you know, isn't it? Like World Cup,
Yeah, it's
like
hard
that,
to know.
like, you know, when you're in Brighton and you're having 8 matches, like there's an achievement to that. Like maybe if they weren't all the best people from their countries, but the fact you had to get through 8 matches to win,
Exactly.
that there's an achievement in that.
Because then you're gonna come down to the best, or you should come down to the best, having gone through to, you know, completing all your rounds.
Yeah. But like that, then if we're at the World Championships and maybe you only have 5 matches, they could all be against killers, like, you know, from all the countries. So yeah, it's hard to know like that. I think it very much depends. I think there's some people who win World Cups and they beat all the best people and it's like winning a World Championships. And then sometimes there's other people who maybe get lucky and they get a decent draw and they fight maybe not so
man,
good people.
I've seen it. I mean, I've seen where, you know, people just get good draws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in Worlds, you get a good draw and you're like, I'm in the quarterfinals. You know, you're in the semis. You're like, boom, 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 2 buys. I mean, boom, a buy, a bad guy having a bad day, and you're through to the semis. You know, and you know, like a major player got knocked out because, hey, yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, for me, I enjoy, you know, going up against fighters of all styles. You know, that's the joy for me. Like just going up against fighters and having good showings. Like you can only be your best self on any given day, you know, and if you can achieve that on any given day, then yeah, whether you come out with your hand raised or not is, you know, just the result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to see in ITF Taekwondo, would you like to see maybe rankings or seeding, something that way, so that maybe the good guys are split, or so that you, like, maybe one person doesn't get, maybe you don't have all, I suppose, the lesser, the weaker side.
Yeah, I do believe in seedings. I do believe in rankings because, you know, sometimes, as you say, you'll have a guy getting lucky. You know, it kind of diminished those chances of, you know, like a guy coming in and just being very awkward, and then that awkward against like a good competitor, and he will pass that competitor, but will not even go through to the next because, you know, it's kind of oddball thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
So I do believe in seedings. You know, kind of get the lower rank guys to build up their ranks too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see maybe the medal winners from the previous championships split up so they can't meet until the semi-finals again. And I do think there's something, like, as a fan of the sport, I do like sometimes when you get when you get good guys meeting in the first round and there's a bit of tension there because, you know, it's the first round of the World Championships and, you know, I don't think you want to have.
I don't like when that happens.
Do you know? No,
I don't like when that happens because, you know, for you to call this, for you to become to be called the world champion, you know, it's different when, you know, we see your talent and we know that, man, you're good. But one would expect that the champion, or wow, one would expect that the good guys will meet. You know, the guys that are really technical, really crisp will meet for the championships. You know, I think it's kind of not, no.
Yeah. But see, I think I just think, like, if you try to split up, like, I understand seeding, and that's why I think you should separate the medal winners, because I think like
Right.
maybe the best people at the last championships should be split up for this one. But I think like if you try to
Yes.
split up everybody, like if you go into a full on ranking, and I think that kind of, I think it gets a bit messy then as well to some degree, you know. That's
Well,
why.
true. And then you have to also remember that the organization is so big, you don't have everybody competing on the same platform in the same leagues.
Yeah.
You know, so it's different when you have a South American league and a European league, but then everything else in the middle is kind of shaky, right? So, like, how do you see those guys in the middle?
Yeah.
You know, how do you see the guys from the Caribbean, the guys from India, the guys from, you know what I mean? It's kind of different.
Yeah, it's tricky as well to if you were to start implementing that, see that ranking is hard as well, like you said. Yeah. How do you choose which competitions are ranking tournaments? You know, it's these sort of things.
What I would want to see is a more professional sparring among ITF in the ITF leagues, you know, like a more professional component to it, because I mean, we have some of the best guys in sparring, you know, across any martial sport, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, just kind of how our competitions are set up now doesn't allow for real growth. You know, it's kind of still recreational, you know, in term instead of professional. I mean, as athletes, we take it very seriously and very professional, but it's not on the par where it should be when you compare it to a sambo, when you compare it to a WT, when you compare it to other you know, martial sports that are kind of high on that level, you know.
Yeah. I'd love to see that if there was a way to, like you said, to make it professional, that people could, you know, make money from it, like train full time,
Yeah,
make it their job, you know.
yes,
You're a
yes.
professional taekwondo fighter. I think that'd be great.
And
some way that could be done, like prize money. I don't know about prize money for
I mean,
tournaments.
listen, the seeding,
But
that seeding is the ranking is the only way to do it.
do you think?
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Because what I remember, what WT had done was they started a Grand Prix league, right? And they still have the Grand Prix league, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that was started in after the games. That was started in like 2013. And you put your top 20 best ranked fighters in each division, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is how you get the real deal. You're talking about fireworks and cash. You know, so
Yeah.
And it ups the level too for the competitors, because let me tell you, man, I mean, I've seen competitors that have used their life savings and take on out loans to attend competition, you know, and it shows great passion and just a love for the sport. But you know, as I said about, you know, going to the games or even going to multi-sport games like a Pan Am Games or a Commonwealth Games, you come to realize that, hey, when the athlete is at the center of everything, you get a better performance. Yeah. Because the ease of all those things is off the mind of the athlete.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, if you can take financial stress off the mind of the athlete, if the athlete knows how his meals are gonna go, if he knows how his rehabilitation is gonna go, his training sessions, then all you get is good performance.
Yeah. I like that even with the Olympics, like the athletes obviously are taken care of, like you said, in terms of, like, you know, flights, accommodation, all that sort of stuff, meals, you know, physios, all that stuff. But they're still not making anywhere near as much money as they should probably be making either, because it's all the guys higher up who are making the money.
Exactly. So, right.
It shows athletes aren't asking for a lot. Like us as athletes are we're only looking to be treated nearly like the Olympian, like maybe the way Olympians are treated, and they should even be treated better than they are as well, you know.
Because the thing is, if they were being compensated, like if money was flowing in, man, you would have no choice but to up your game. You know, you'd have no choice but to perform well and really show up and give the I mean, now your sport becomes a spectator sport. Like, if we're being honest, if we look in the stands at an ITF tournament, we're seeing ITF moms and dads and ITF competitors.
Yeah.
You know, we're not getting the man off the street seeing like, hey, I want to come watch that fight. You know, they'll go watch a boxing or they'll go watch a UFC. You know what I mean? And it's not as skillful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not as exciting. You're not getting as much action in one of those, in a, you know, a mainline contact sport like you'd see in a, if Taekwondo was like a professional sport.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we got it. Yeah. I mean, we got the talent. We got everything.
Yeah.
You know, we just don't have that athlete centered.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe what holds it back maybe to some degree is the idea of that we're not a sport, we're a martial art? Do you think that kind of maybe mindset holds it back a bit, that people aren't all in on the sport, they're more on about,
you know,
we're a martial art, not a sport, so it holds that the sporting side
we
back?
try to make that distinction, right? But if we're purely a martial art, we wouldn't have competitions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sports have competitions. So let's say we separate the martial aspect, the do, from the competition. You know what I mean? It's two different things. When I'm not in the ring, I'm a martial artist. I'm purely a martial artist. You know, everything I do, I have a martial arts mindset. You know?
Yeah.
But when I'm competing, I'm a competitor. I'm practicing a sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think the people at the highest level, maybe within the ITF, are they concerned about the sport? Or are they concerned about the martial art? I don't know. What do you
think
what do you
creates
think?
a confusion. It creates a confusion when you equate, or you try to regulate a sport in a martial aspect. You know, and I think karate suffered that for quite some time too, until now they have to change it, hence why they're in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yes, the rules of the rules of the game is the rules of the game, but I mean, it can't be rigid, because sport isn't rigid, right? Sport is dynamic, sport is exciting. You know, so the more rigid you keep it, it becomes difficult to really get the full benefits of the sport, the sporting arm of this martial art.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it's many things, man. I mean, martial art isn't just sport. And when we say martial arts, we have to define what a martial arts is. It's expressing yourself, you know? You know, it's not necessarily ITF Taekwondo is very standardized in our movements and, you know, our blocks and punches and so on. But at the end of the day, if you and I go up against each other to do a pattern, you're going to see two different expressions of that pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so rigidity isn't good for anything, right? Rigidity is dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think like that it needs. Yeah, I think maybe even it might even be the sporting side maybe needs nearly its own governance as a branch of the ITF.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Maybe
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe that might even develop things out of it. So then, actually, when did you? So was it when did you start to focus more? When did you go back to karate? Was it when it got into the Olympics and there was a chance to go to the Olympics again? Is that when you started to focus on karate again? Go back to that
you
original
know,
style?
I always practice across martial lines, you know. There's never a time that I was like purely doing one thing. I mean, I'll do purely one thing periodically, you know.
Yeah.
But I would say it was more in an effort to kind of help my country to get involved with it.
Yeah.
Because WT didn't go very far in Jamaica, even after the Olympic Games, because again, you know, just the governance wasn't ready. So when we heard that karate was in the Olympics, my brother is still a big karate practitioner. He has one of the biggest schools in Jamaica. So I was like, hey, well, let's get an organization started. Let's get some interest behind it, and let's see what can happen. you know, of course, being a seasoned competitor myself and well known in Jamaica, my sports administrators and so on obviously wanted my involvement. Yeah, I think we had a little cut off there. Yeah, they wanted my involvement, you know. So yeah, that really sparked my interest after that. I mean, obviously, with now having a young family and recently immigrating to Canada, it was a lot of change in my life then, but the drive to see Jamaica excel in this new emergence, because we have a large karate community. So, you know, just kind of leading it that way was kind of my contribution.
Yeah. Yeah, and the qualifier, is that the one that's on is that in Paris? Is it the Paris qualifier?
Yeah, it's in Paris. Yeah.
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 And
That one's in Paris.
And I can't fully remember what even Ryan said. Is it all the winners, or how is it working again?
Oh man, it's gonna be like a round robin kind of
similar to the
setup,
Taekwondo,
right? Yeah, it's gonna be a round robin setup. I mean, a lot has changed in terms of how qualifiers are done these days. You know, like they really are trying to get the best of the best going. Yeah. You know, so you know the loser fights the winner of the last one, and you know the round robin setup. So yes, everybody ends up fighting everybody.
Okay, so you're in for quite a few matches.
Well, yeah, you'll have quite a few matches, and then the best results come out. You know, so
yeah.
Do
you think the experience of maybe the Tokyo Olympics? Do you think it'll be the same as? Think it'll be the same as London? Are you expecting the same kind of experience, or do you think it'll be different?
No, it's gonna be very different.
Yeah,
it's gonna be very different. Like, you know,
all down to
I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine not congregating, not having just waves and waves of athletes together. It's even try to think of an opening ceremony happening there.
Yeah,
you know, with these restrictions,
not the way you would expect. Yeah, it couldn't happen
not the way
you would expect it. Yeah.
So you know, it's really a different view. I mean, even leading up to it it's supposed to be exciting, right? Like, you know, going to qualifiers, going to different tournaments, but that's not happening. Like, where are the athletes getting the motivation? You know, like if you're not driven, then I can't see you really mentally being prepared for it. And that's and being mentally prepared is 90% of the game, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I mean, that's 90%.
Like you said, you don't even have your teammates to help you. Like when you're not maybe mentally there in a day, and you usually have your teammates around you to help pull you through. Right. You don't even have that now. It's all on you.
Yeah. If you can visualize and feel the excitement of what to expect, like it's crippling. Yeah. You know, it's crippling, and then you have to dig for something else. Like, so it's I think it's gonna be significantly different. Talking to some of my track friends the other day, and they were like, "Man, I don't know what to expect."
Yeah,
what the games are gonna be like. There's very little interest in even competing in these games.
Yeah,
you know, for a lot of people across different sports, because you know, there's there's the vaccine hesitancy. Two, there's the fact that you're going to be isolated and locked down. A lot of athletes can't even stay still for 2 seconds, and you're going to try to keep them in a room. You know, so that's
yeah. Well, I suppose the challenge as well is like as an athlete, like you don't have maybe many chances for the Olympics, you know. So like you maybe don't have the chance to just skip this one. You only have so many in you.
Yeah, Jimmy, that's.
Oh, you're back.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah, I'm saying, man, it's every 4 years, not every year. So, you know, when you have that window, like you really gotta take. We're having a bit of a cutout. I think
Yeah, you're back again. Yeah, you're back.
hear you.
Oh, you're gone again.
Only saving grace.
Yeah. And yeah, you hear me good?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, you're kind of we're a little bit choppy, I think. But yeah, I suppose I won't keep it too much longer. Maybe with the connection bit, it kind of been a bit choppy.
Yeah, it's a little.
I suppose I have one more question really before we finish up.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to pick a favorite fighter you like to watch, who would it be? It can be maybe any sport. It could be Taekwondo, karate. It could be kickboxing. It could be MMA. It could be boxing. If you had to pick somebody that you enjoy to watch, who would it be?
If I had somebody that I loved watching, okay, okay, do I have to pick one?
I will give you maybe 2 or 3.
Or three? I'd say I enjoy. If I, um, oh, and I love. You didn't say current fighters.
No, it can be any time.
Okay, okay, yes. So those matches all get me excited, you know?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, those fighters enjoy their matches. There's not a lot of hesitancy in how they execute. Yeah, that for me is game.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that for me is game.
yeah, definitely. No, some good picks, there. But yeah, look, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks, man, for coming
Yeah,
on.
brother. Thank you, man. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and hopefully the qualifier will go well, and you'll be in Tokyo and get to maybe experience the Olympic Village
Fingers
again.
crossed, brother. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll be watching. I'll be keeping an eye out for the qualifiers, keeping an eye out to see if you qualify, and if you're there, I'll be
Yeah,
watching.
brother. All right, man. All the best. Take care,
man. Take care, man.
All right, blessings, brother.
A reminder to check out today's sponsors, TKDWear at TKDWear.com, and use the promo code BLACKBELTER for 10% off. All details are in the description, and see you next week.